You are now listening to the sounds of Milkcrates Microphones.
We are now joined by somebody that I think we collectively have been waiting a long time to talk to. I mean, very excited about this one. Somebody we've looked up to for a long time. Like Matt has said, he's been making music for 30 years now. Mm-hmm. So somebody who, you know, if you are not familiar with him, it's very easy to get familiar because he has a very, very vast catalog of music. And somebody that I think we all have looked up to on a morale personnel level, the one and only Soul.
Hell yeah.
What's up, Croaties?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, Soul, thank you for joining us, man. We really, I know it's getting late over there where you're at, so we appreciate you staying up for us.
Yeah, I was just asleep, putting my son to bed a little while ago, but now I'm, drinking a little gin and juice.
Hell yeah.
Hey, Hell yeah. Beautiful. Enjoying the Friday. We're, as parents, I think we understand that, having to put the kids to bed, and sometimes you fall asleep with them. Got to get up and do a little business.
Hey, Soul, you're out in Portland, Maine. Are you born and raised Maine always in the earlier days?
Yeah, I grew up in Portland, Maine. I live in Brunswick now, which is like a little north of Portland.
Gotcha. How was it growing up in Maine?
It's funny. I've been talking to people like academics and people like that who concur with my opinion that Portland, Maine was actually a pretty hard place to grow up. Like, it was very violent. Like, a lot of the children of working class fishermen who were all on heroin and Oxycontin and shit, and it was a very violent place. I walk around now and it's people are riding their bikes and eating ice cream cones, but it wasn't. It was just a fucked up working class place. It wasn't people shooting at each other and shit, but it was still, but no, it's cool, man. I hated it. So I took a lot of shit for granted because I'm from here. But then later in life, I came to appreciate a lot of the great things about Maine.
Growing up,
I don't know.
Sorry to interrupt. Growing up though, what were some of your first music influences, or even music tastes? Who were the first people to really move you in that sense?
My influences?
Yeah, who were some of the first people
or people in Maine?
Yeah.
Just music.
Just music in general. Who were the first type of music influences that you seen as a child growing up, and who really kind of you would say showed you that kind of type of music? Were your parents heavily into music as a child, or
Fuck
no?
it. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. No, I don't know. I just heard hip hop and it made sense to me. I think I heard a Fat B song on some 80s movie, and I was like, ooh, what's that?
Oh shit.
And it just I started listening to Beastie Boys, Run DMC, Fat Boys, that kind of stuff, and then worked my way up to Master Ace. I mean, I've really been revisiting a lot of 90s stuff lately, just because modern hip hop is and the news and the world, everything is kind of dark or really aggressive, and sometimes you're just listening to that shit all the time. It's it's nice to go back to the 90s where everybody's
good times.
Funk and groove and boom bap beats and shit that's just it's you can be talking about it like NWA shit. It's funk beats. Fuck the police over funk beats.
Yeah, that California funk beat that grew into something we all loved.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
but it's now shit's just dark and aggressive most of the time.
Yeah, I found when you said that Maine and where you grew up was kind of not a dangerous place, but in a violent place in sense. For me, thinking about Maine, I always think about it being in a real outdoorsy place where as a kid did you spend a lot of time outdoors doing outdoor shit, or were you? Yeah.
I mean, but again, I take all that for granted, camping and going catching salamanders and frogs and, being around the ocean, riding ferries, swimming in warm lakes. A lot of people can't swim in lakes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I think of when I think of Maine, that picture in my brain. So it was interesting to hear a different take. And it makes sense, too. Like you said, it's hard labor workers that are working long hours and, you know, a lot of kids that were probably turnkey kids that were coming home and the parents weren't home. And so it kind of, it's a breeding ground for that type of atmosphere.
Definitely.
Right on. Are you guys in San Jose? Is that what I figured out listening to you?
No, we're from Lodi, which is kind of by Stockton, Sacramento area.
Central
Okay.
California.
Central California, yeah.
You guys were playing fucking the new Elron shit right before I came on.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we're big fans of Elron.
He sounds good on that.
Dude,
Oh, yeah.
super smooth.
Definitely
And then
smooth, super clean.
Genesee, the other partner of Double Life, I mean, a Grammy award-winning producer in his own right who's done a lot of great shit production-wise. And then on the bars, super smooth, too.
So cool. Yeah, Elron was like one of my first friends I made when I moved to San Francisco.
Oh, that's so
Super
dope,
nice
bro.
guy,
I've heard
dude.
that
to
from-
hang out.
It's crazy because we've heard that from so many people that like live in the Bay Area. They're like, yeah, Roneous was like one of my first friends in like the hip hop scene or whatever. So it's cool to hear that.
He got me so high. I just remember I was like so lost after I left this. You know, I was like 12 years old. You know, I'm like wandering around San Francisco just too stoned. Like, how the fuck do I get back to Oakland?
He's truly the nicest guy. Like when we first met him, he opened arms,
He's a nice
nothing
guy.
but love.
He's a nice guy.
But that being said, he just dropped that, and you just dropped an album too. 1312. Sorry, with you and DJ Payne, man.
1912.
Sorry. I've also been partaking tonight, but I've actually listened to that album, and it's a super super dope listen. It takes me back to some of your original stuff. On the album, you have a song on Spotify that's actually twice on there.
Someone notified me like a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and I sent a message to the label, and they're like, "Yeah, we know someone fucked up. Where we contacted the distributor, and they're fixing it." But
We weren't sure if they were
Yeah.
trying to pull some bullshit blackball in the song, so that's
Yeah.
why we had to ask the man himself right here, get it from the horse's mouth. You know what I mean? Because I've heard the song, we played it earlier.
It's
on
called
your band.
Fire the Police. And then,
Yeah.
you know, all of a sudden there's a different song when you play it on Spotify and Apple.
Yeah.
But when you go to the Bandcamp,
Yeah.
super clean. You
We
get the
bumped it
full
on the
flavor.
Bandcamp earlier. It's super clean.
So hard.
So I just had to be sure from the horse's mouth exactly what the.
Benatti.
We never know. We never know. I mean, you saying that, I mean, I know you had connections with Jermaine Dupri coming up, so you never know, you know?
True. I could be in. You know.
That's pretty wicked. I mean, they're out for the soul, man. They're out for the soul.
Can we get a little bit about that story? The whole DJ Premier, Jermaine Dupri
The beats don't
dilemma,
match.
right?
Yeah,
That
the
happened.
beats didn't match.
And you ended up not doing the deal. Was it Def Jam or
No,
can you tell that
that's
story?
a really cool version of the story, though.
Okay,
I like
okay.
that one better than the real story. No, basically, it was like the story's like I was getting in a lot of trouble in school, and like my hip hop identity was really, you know, causing problems or whatever. And my mom was like, "Why don't you go stay with your aunt and uncle in Miami? You know, she's a lawyer, he's a politician. They know a lot of entertainment lawyers and people that could maybe help you. Why don't you go down there and, you know, whatever." I'm like, "All right, I'll go down there," you know. And so I went down, and I had like made a demo, and then I played it for this producer, and he was like, "Holy shit, I've never heard any white person rap like this. Like, you're only fucking 14 years old. Like, you guys were talking about when I started rapping in 91. I was recording in like 92.
Amazing.
And so I was like a 14, 15-year-old kid with like these really fast rapping demos, like kind of rapping like Onyx and Young Black Teenagers, and just like really, and then I don't know. And so they had heard stuff, and then passed it to this entertainment lawyer who worked with Entertainment Resources International, which was like the management company that did So Def. And I think Jermaine Dupri owned the management company. And so because I was a minor, my uncle was representing me to So Def because he was the person who brought them to me. My father didn't trust the situation. He didn't imagine I would have a paranoid father.
Yeah.
He didn't trust the situation, and so he started calling the label, being like, "You have to talk to me," and they're like, "No, by law, we have to talk to this guy. He's the representative. He's the management that brought Tim to us, and so that's who we'll be dealing with." And my dad was like threatening them, and then it kind of dissipated there. But in the course of the time period, it was like there was $100,000 advance on the table. There was, they wanted me to, I don't want to like overhype it or whatever, but like they were like, talking about Jermaine Dupri beats. And I was like, no, I want DJ Premier beats.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And, that was, but I never really knew the full story about my dad blowing up at them. I just kind of thought I got like screwed around by a label, and it just like hardened my resolve to be like independent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, I'm still waiting for that Soul DJ Premier collab album. I mean,
I'm waiting.
Never say never.
I'm waiting for the So Def album to come out here.
I'll do that now. Wait. Oh no. I don't think it want anything to do with Diddy.
Dude, so are you happy that things turned out the way they did and that dissipated, that whole, thing went a different direction and you went on to become basically an independent hip hop legend? I mean, are you glad that things kind of went that direction instead?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought I would be rich by now. I'm surprised sometimes I'm surprised that I'm not.
Yeah.
And disappointed about that. It's awesome. I mean, if I had done that, I'd have been burnt out, used up. I could barely handle the fame that I got from Anticon. You know what I mean? Like, it's really a head fuck to go from being someone who like isn't very liked and is kind of like a marginal, nerdy, you know what I mean, kind of person, to being like, people want stuff from you. They're kissing your ass. You don't know. You know what I mean? It's hard to believe, and they're like, it's hard to believe anyone gives a fuck anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To go from like that to that, it's like I couldn't imagine being on like the gold selling scale.
Yeah.
And probably having it fail also, because what were they? They probably just would have wanted to exploit my young whiteness.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely.
an Eminem.
But probably not as cool coming through So Def. You know?
Yeah.
You talk about meeting El Roneous out in the Bay Area. What year did you officially move from Maine out to the Bay Area? And was that directly due to creating Anticon and wanting to push it further in a place that hip hop was booming? Is that basically the reasoning from relocating?
I mean, I don't think Anticon was really a formed idea.
Okay.
I think like me and Pedestrian wanted to move to the Bay and wanted to do hip hop. You know what I mean? Maybe we had the idea of doing a label, but I'd have to ask him. But like during the course of like moving across the country, we recorded Deep Puddle, and then we just started coming in contact with all of these people. And it just like when we all met, it was like, oh, we should be together making music together. And then because we were already moving to the Bay, and that seemed like a good place to do this kind of thing. That's kind of where the idea came together. You know what I mean? Like just in that gray area between like moving and meeting. And
who was your did you consciously just said, I'm going to the Bay? You didn't have no contact. This is just off the whim, and I'm taking off down there. That's fucking nuts, man. Hats off to you for doing that.
Different time.
I know.
That's crazy.
I mean, and I don't think people can really do that anymore. You know, shit's so expensive now, and there's so little money to be made for music. I mean, it's kind of sucks. Like you're missing out on a whole authentic experience of missing out on that.
As authentic as that is, can you tell me a little about when you were a cab driver? How did you like being a cab driver out there? Was shit wicked or what? Was it crazy?
I was a cab driver for I think 3 days.
Oh shit.
It wasn't like a career. It was like, just one of these desperate downtimes of music. I was like, okay, fine, I'll be a cab driver. I don't want to do food service stuff or anything like that. And I think the first day I made like $50. The second day I made like 15, and then the next day I made 15. I just fucking screamed on the boss. I was like, I'm not fucking working for $1 an hour.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
Like,
hell no.
like I was smoking clove cigarettes though. That was cool.
Nothing's
In
more
cab
90s
fashion.
than closed cigarettes with a little crackle in them.
So cool.
Oh, they're great.
Especially if you're a cab driver.
Yeah, it really keeps
that's
you up.
that's the cab you want to get into, the one that smells like clothes, because you know that guy's gonna get you where you need to go.
Fast.
But these cab drivers though, they were all on meth. I like one time I was like, when I was new to the job, like I got on the CB, I was like, oh my God. This woman just got in the cab and was like trying to pay me with meth. And when I laughed at her and told her to fucking pay me, she said, oh, you're a cab driver. All cab drivers smoke meth. And I said that over the CB, and then like one of the cab drivers pulled me aside and was like, yo, you can't say shit like that, man. People will think you're not cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe we have different definitions of what cool is. I'm not worried about it.
This currency is usually good here.
Amazing.
When you so how old were you when you came out to the Bay Area?
20?
20. Damn. You're still a kid then.
What year was that?
1998.
Jesus.
But I'll say I didn't like go blindly out there. DJ Staff had this magazine called Vinyl Exchange, and she was involved in show promotions. And she had me out for a show, and it was a really cool experience. I met like Peanut Butter Wolf, and like, you know what I mean? It was just like all the
Good community.
like, oh shit, this is the opposite of what it felt like going to New York and going to Fat Beats and trying to like meet people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, these people were friendly and shit. And I was like, and then P Minus, who had been selling my tapes through ATAC, I asked him, like, what's up? And he's like, oh, I actually have a room coming up for rent. It's like $100 a month.
Wow.
Rent controlled room in off Post Street in San Francisco in the Tenderloin. And so me and Pedestrian shared a room for like $50 a month or something.
Wow.
Until we but I had like computer experience, so I instantly got a job making like $50,000 a year, with no college degree or anything. And so it's just like, cool, I'm gonna buy a new car and start a record company and
That's
go
cool.
live. So, it was awesome.
Yeah, and do a little music on the side. Did you guys go out there with that mindset that you were going to continue the independent path, or was it a mindset to create a label or get on a label, or what was that mindset like? Because the Bay Area where you were going inevitably was full of a bunch of artists that were kind of groundbreaking in that independent lane, like Hyro and all those dudes and Living Legends and stuff like that.
I mean, I feel like I was always like saying I'd take $1 million. Like when I was meeting with A&Rs, I would always be like, give me $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was always my number. Like, so if anybody had ever given me $1 million, being honest, like, or even made a concrete offer of like 250,000 or some huge number that you'd be like, okay,
Can't turn it down.
$200,000
Is
sounds
$200,000.
nice.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Maybe. But I was so fiercely independent and independent label minded, like, everything from like J Live to like Duck Down, like all these great independent labels. Like that's what inspired me, like OC Time's Up, like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the shit I believed in.
Classic.
The like the stupidly independent, like all the people who like proclaimed it the loudest, like sold out the fastest, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That always seems like that's the deal. The people that are standing on the soapbox the highest are the first ones to jump off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
Can't blame him, man.
No,
Soap,
I can't.
It sucks being up there.
No,
For sure.
of course, yeah.
yeah, you got to get your
Hey,
payday.
a
too,
podcast,
you know?
a podcast network wants to come and give us money, and
Yeah.
we'll be the first ones on here selling fucking.
Oh, yeah.
selling
Selling Johnny's tomatoes.
whatever we
I don't
need to
give
sell.
a shit. Johnny's tomatoes are good for you, good now, good for everybody. Come get them quick. You know, I don't give a shit. I'll sell quick as long as we got the cash and we're ready to make our pockets fat. I'll do whatever you do.
Yo,
That's
Anticon would start picking up steam and blowing up in the States as well as overseas. When you guys were getting more popular, what was the reception like from other collectives around the Bay Area, such as Hieroglyphics, Living Legends, Board Stiff, people like that? Were you guys feeling like you were welcome, or more feeling like outcasts during that time because you were so niche and different, doing something that was completely
Experimental
yeah,
at the
completely non-traditional?
Yeah.
It was a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was a little bit of both. You know, I feel like we got a lot more love in the Bay than we did in other places. You know, like PSC was always my homie. PSC from Living Legends was always
Lucky.
you know, just a good, friendly, nice guy. Other people were skeptical of us. Other people were like friends with LP, and so they, you know,
Yeah.
make little sneak disses and shit.
Yeah.
You know, other, like, some people in Living Legends, like Merce, like, openly didn't like us. You know,
Yeah.
Board Stiff, we never really came across them. You know, I remember once, like, this band Socialistics, they were like at a show we did, and they were just in the crowd, like, yelling, like, "Oh, you're a poet, fuck you." These guys are what, you know, the cops sound like. You know, these guys would call the cops. You know, these bunch of snitches. You know,
They're all narcs on the stage.
You know, so it was like, you know, it was a mixed bag for the most part, but we just kind of did our own thing. But, you know, people like Elron was my homie. You know, we worked with Mega Abusive, who you guys were talking about earlier.
Yep.
You know, and we had like a scene. You know, we're like doing these monthlies, and so, you know, those things are always a complicated terrain of you know, politics, basically.
Totally.
You know.
Yeah, from the outside looking in as a fan, I think you guys and you in general did a great job of, you know, kind of this doing your own thing. Like, yeah, whatever that is, you're not going to win them all over. So you just, you stay true to who you guys were, which
I love.
which was really good and refreshing for us to watch.
And coming up, I mean, I swear that sampler album was probably one of my favorite things ever.
Yeah, the Anticon sampler.
Anticon sampling album.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. Like, coming up, I swear everybody that I knew that knew good niche music was the homies, a small crowd of 8 to 9 of us that always chilled every day, and that was all day. Everybody played that sampler album, and to this day, I'll still play shit off that sampler album that I highly enjoy. I mean, that fucking album itself is amazing. So I know.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
Everything about it. I mean,
Well, that's
is great. You know.
Well, and like I was thinking, like when you you know, at the end of the day, you've made music and so much music that's gonna be here
forever.
You know what I mean? Like your kids' kids will have music that they get to listen to grandpa, you know, long after you're gone. So, like what you've accomplished already is, I think, legendary. And whether the numbers back it, which, you know, they should, and we're all on the side that you should be obviously making more money and having more views and listens. But whether that happens or not, you still have done something legendary on this planet. You know what I mean? Which I think is very, very amazing.
You know, on that note too.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, on that note too, like he's saying, I put all your music that I could find into one big list. Over 22 hours, man. I mean, and I'm sure there's plenty more. You know, I put every album anything I could find and put it on there so I could just get totally. It's been a while, you know. I'm trying to brush back up on everything now again, and you got so much stuff, man. You can't.
Does that include the Babylonians? Have you ever heard that?
I'm not 100% sure,
No,
but I
when
took
was that made?
everything I could find.
Babylonians. It was like these freestyle albums. These Christian rappers. Me and Pedestrian made these like 2 entire albums called the Babylonian. I mean, it's shit that get canceled now. It's not funny anymore. But that shit's funny.
It's pretty much everything but nuclear winter shit. I couldn't get any nuclear winter shit on there because of why. But I mean, for the most part, you can't find that shit everywhere. But yeah, on
Spotify.
Yeah, I got everything but that on there. You know what I mean? I took everything I could find.
So that's not even included. I'm working on Nuclear Winter 4 right now.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. So we're ready for all that shit.
I just redid Nas's Memory Lane.
Oh,
that's so dope.
Sick.
Such a good beat. I've always wanted to rap. I'm just like taking all the beats from my childhood that I really wanted to rap to that aren't like played out,
Yeah. That first time when you did that, and when I seen that, I was like, this dude's having so much fun making music right now.
Nuclear Winter 1.
Because it was kind of after,
It's
all
so
the
fun.
serious shit that you were doing. And you're a very serious rapper, and, your content is very serious. But to see you have fun like that and do the Hustle Hard one with the golf cart and shit, that was so fun to watch and be a fan of. Loved it.
That was one of my, that era of making videos was like, we just got like a Rebel TSI camera. My drummer, who was like, like my best friend, he was running the label for Fake 4 also at that time. And so like things were like synced up, and we were just like, just having, just homies, like just doing like, those kind of videos at that time period was,
Were you guys actually playing?
It was cutting edge. It was cutting edge, like that was just when like you could just make a fucking video. And make some crazy ass video. Like, let's dress up like fucking terrorists and kidnap the A&R. Like, let's fucking do that.
Dude, we'll get into Vault 1312, your brand new album with DJ Pain 1, but I want to go back to one of my favorite albums of all time that you put out, Selling Live Water. I mean, this album, over 20 years now, turned 20 last year, I want to say. I mean, I hold this up as one of the best hip-hop albums of all time. It has to be. I mean,
especially on independent label.
And I have to hear your take. I know you don't hold Bottle of Humans up to a high standard looking back now, from what I've read and heard you say, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I do. I think it's a great album.
Okay. But Selling Live Water, what do where's that on your list of albums? Do you hold it high? Is that one of your special babies when you look back?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, that album changed my life.
Yeah.
That album got me to this point where I was pretty much, in many ways, set for life.
Yeah.
Like that just... everything changed after that.
Is that from the worldwide reception, like overseas in different countries, that helped boost that?
Yeah, like it just was really big overseas. Especially overseas, it like really connected with a more open-minded political kind of milieu.
Yeah.
It's just it really reached a lot of people. Like a lot of people just.
The production's great. Over half of it is done by Alias, R.I.P. Alias, one of my favorite producers of all time, and lyricist, top tier as well in his own right. I mean, that album, though, the production and the way it was put together, one of the best. How was it different creating that compared to Bottle of Humans, your debut?
Well, totally. I mean, originally Selling Live Water was just me and Alias's album.
Okay.
And then like I just kept wanting to make more songs like Plutonium, and he was just ready to start working on his.
So was that a so-called artist's album at first?
No, it was a soul album that he was producing. And I mean, again, this was like a time where we're really learning a lot of stuff. We're just getting computers, and the digital recording is just becoming a thing. And so Alias is no longer limited to what's on the sampler, and he's like playing keyboards on stuff.
Yeah.
And he just was always just intrinsically musically talented. Even I remember when he used to just have a DR550 shitty drum machine back in the day, and he just crush it on that thing.
Yeah. I had heard
early
that
90s.
I had heard that there's 3 different versions of that album. Is that true?
Selling Live Water?
Yeah, that you have 3 different build-ups to it, like before you actually put it out. You know what I mean? You had like 3, you're building and you're building and you're building before you put out the final. You had 5 tracks, then you had 7, and you're like, fuck it, now I have the whole deal. You keep adding, then you finally put it out. Is that how it went, or is that just what bullshit what people are saying? What's just been in out there,
Oh, I mean, no. I mean, it was there were a bunch of tracks that but again, okay. I mean, a bunch of this shit was on a demo. This fucking this dude Franz from Atlantic, who's the A&R for Atlantic, and he was helping manage Anticon at the time. And so there was like a demo with like all those songs, but like some of the songs that were like on the Priziest Horse. Like that song, the surface.
Yep.
Like that was one of the first songs we worked on for Selling Live Water, but it was like too aggressive to go on the album or something. And so there were just songs that like made sense for the album but we just kept making a bunch of songs.
Yeah.
So we probably made, I don't know, like 18 songs in that time period.
Priziest Horse is by far my favorite on the whole album.
Yeah.
Just
Killer.
hands down. Just to say, I mean, just,
Killer.
I'd rather. I mean, it's good that I can actually fucking tell you that, which is tight as fuck. But yeah, that's my favorite song on the album.
But yeah, and that song, it almost doesn't fit the album. It's like it's very heavily like sample based. It's got a horn. I've never rapped on a horn.
Yeah,
It's so dope, dude.
It's well put together. I mean, yeah. Shout out to Telephone Jim Jesus, Nose Dom, and Gel, who were also involved with the production of that album. I mean,
four of the greatest hip hop producers of all time.
Yeah,
in my opinion, that's a production dream team. Like, working with those people in that time period, like those guys they're geniuses. All of them
for sure. And would you say underrated in certain ways?
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of great electronic musicians reference them. Or like, that's my shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they get their, everybody get what they get. Shit.
What were your thoughts when, I'm a big Alias fan. So, I mean, when he put down the mic, basically stopped rapping and focused solely on producing and beats, what were your guys' thoughts on that? Did you, were you upset and wanting him to get back on the mic because he's so well lyrically, or just, you guys were all you behind him pushing that passion?
I mean, yeah, it was whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he felt like, I mean, his solo instrumental sets were just dope.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that was more natural for him, and that's what he wanted to focus on.
I couldn't imagine him showing you those beats and you being like, watch me work my motherfucking magic. Like, you know what I mean? Like him just showing you, like, what do you think of this? You'd be like, bro, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And he's like, yeah, you think so? And you're like, watch this.
I still remember the first time I was like, when he was still in Maine and I was in the Bay. I was working in the Embarcadero, and like I was like talking to him on the cell phone, and he's like, oh man, I just working on this new song, this crazy beat. Check it out. And then he plays me this, I've been so many places. And he's like playing it to me on the phone. And then the drums come in. I was like, dude, you gotta let me rap on that shit. And but I just remember the first time, hearing a beat on the phone. You know what I mean? That's some fucking 90s shit.
Oh man, for sure.
Like,
how old were you when you made Bottle of Humans, that track?
20.
Young-minded.
So right when you got to the Bay.
That shit takes me back, bro, to being 13. You know what I
dude.
mean? 14.
On that
sample.
On the transitions on from track to track on Selling Live Water, everything transitions very smoothly. The beats kind of cut from one beat to the next,
like a movie.
And you can hear that beat.
Score.
A sample from one. Was that done post, or was that done while you guys were kind of making the album? That was kind of in the mind.
That was Wait, was it No Sum? I feel like that was No Stom and Y, actually.
Damn.
Like they had this way of editing and sequencing albums, and just really had a good ear for it. You know, they were like art school kids, and like they really, you know, they were like good at editing. You know, like take this song out, take this song out. You know, I'm like, I'm insulted. Like, you know, because originally Selling Live Water was 60 minutes. You know, and those guys cut 3 songs from the album.
Oh damn.
Or
we need those songs.
Or 2. No, I mean those songs were on songs that went 10. They were on other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe it was just 2 songs. I don't remember really.
How did you evolve your style, Soul? I mean, we've talked about this many times. You're a rapper who doesn't always rhyme or have to rhyme for it to sound really good or make it sound cool or get your message across.
Yeah, get your point across.
I mean, you have a very different way of doing it. Have you always been rapping that way, or did you evolve it over time?
Oh, I started off. You know, I went through a phase of. I went through an Ice Cube phase, Spice One phase, Shorty phase, Lord Finesse phase, Too Short phase. You know, I've been through every single phase. But you know, artists like Saphir, Mr. Complex, Cool Keith, Saphir, I would say would be the big one. Like these artists who would ride often on the beat and would not rhyme. And make it stick, and like you'd almost be paying attention more because they weren't rhyming.
I like that.
That's exactly what it is.
You know, that's I didn't invent that. You know what I mean? Like I heard the way those guys were like doing it.
You play a lot with sounds too, like vocal sounds without knowing that you're doing it. I feel like, I mean, when we listen to it, we talk about the ups and downs of the way things run into each other. Like we just said, it doesn't have to rhyme, but it's just your vocal play and the way that some words would sound playing with another word. It just everything just works perfect. Like I said, you're no longer hanging on to the beat. I'm hanging on to what you're going to say next, just wanting to wonder. And that's what makes me intrigued, or it did at the time coming up. And that made me a longtime fan of your music. So that definitely does it for me every time.
You know, it's like, there's like a strain of like, people who are into like hyper lyrical shit, you know what I mean? Where it's like you can listen to a 72 bar verse and just follow it, you know?
Oh yeah.
And it's like some stream of consciousness shit. Like, it's one of the things I always loved about reading the beat poets, like Kerouac specifically, or Gregory Corso, or I would just feel like I was along for some ride or something.
Sure.
And I feel like that's, I don't know, the shit I like the best is stuff when I'm doing that kind of stuff where it's just like lucid, you know what I mean? Like,
free flowing, man.
Yeah, just, you know, I don't really make songs. You know, I'm jealous of my friend Chesky's ability to like make a song. You know what I mean? Like I don't make songs. You know, I don't give a fuck. Just write my shit. Still just like old school cat. I want to just write my verses and say my shit, like, you know, I don't want to dance around for you. I don't want to, I don't care about the hook.
But you do it. What you do at a high level, you know, like
very well.
If you're doing just a little bit, you're doing a little bit at a very high level, especially with your lyrical content. Talking about that, because for us listening back, it seems like you've always had that kind of that heavy-minded or that, you know, revolutionary type of content that you put into your music, and obviously you spend a ton of time writing. We could tell by that. Is that something that was always like, when did you begin like that progressive mind state as a youngster? Was that something you were doing as a kid, or is that something teenage years? When did that start?
Yeah, I mean, I was in 7th grade. I was doing like projects on the Black Panthers and reading Malcolm X and listening to Public Enemy, and you know, that's what I was into. And then I got into like a gangster phase, and I was all, you know, into that shit. And then in high school, I became introduced to like Nietzsche and like philosophy. You know, I'd like find philosophy books and just like stare at them, and be like, I don't really know what this says, but it's kind of like weird poetry, you know.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and so like, and I also felt late '90s, early 2000s. I felt like political music got tacky, and I was never really that well. I didn't really know history or anything. You know what I mean? So I never could I would never really speak on anything other than like personal social commentary kind of shit.
Yeah.
But then after 9/11, I was like, oh, I really need to get educated about all of these things and then figure out like, if I believe in revolution, like what would I want? What would a revolution look like?
Yeah.
That's and like that thread, starts around 9/11. We were all Anticon. We're all in New York on 9/11, and we're very like affected by it.
Yeah.
And so it just was, for me, it was like a wake up call. Like, why did this happen? I want to know why. I don't understand. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted to know, and like, I want to be able to like be on the right side of history with my music.
Yeah.
During 9/11,
so I just educated myself.
During 9/11, where were you? I mean, you were there, but I mean, do you remember where you were that day exactly and all that?
I didn't do it, if that's what you're saying.
Where were you, soul?
I was okay. Yeah, well, I snuck out of building number 7, and no, we were
because most people
some hotel at JFK Airport.
Yeah, most people say they remember everywhere they were on that day. I mean, I remember where I was, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, I mean,
we were in we were like, I mean, wait, how'd my dog get inside? See what
you just did? Before we get off that subject, then we're going to jump right away from it. 9/11, inside job or no?
I don't think so. No, okay. I think it was people who were pissed at the United States.
Can I ask you this?
Yep, happens all the time.
What took you to Europe, and when you were in Europe over there doing all that fucking badass shit you were doing, was there a language barrier? How did you even get around? How do you ask people for anything over there at that time? Do you speak it?
A plane took me to Europe.
Oh yeah.
No, you know what? No, I had a book. My first booking agent was like in Europe, was like a booking agent who like hired out to other booking agents. It was like, wait a second. You mean to tell me this guy's getting 15% and then this person's getting 15% of 15%? And like, fuck that shit. And so I was like, at one of my shows on that tour, I met another booking agent who was like, a radical dude, this guy Cyril. And he booked this tour for me going from oh fuck, why is my wife texting me? I have these phone notifications on my computer. It's because our dog is being fucking annoying. That's why.
Little fuckers. I got 2 of them in there, or one now. They're little fuckers.
Okay, so the question was,
how'd you get to Rome?
Well, the language
barrier.
Oh
yeah, basically, So I did this tour, and then in the beginning of the tour, like me and my wife had just gotten married. I just got like an advance and like sold a bunch of records, and I was like, woo. I should do something cool. Let's go to Europe, live in Europe for 6 months. And so like we like booked a hotel somewhere. Jesus Christ. I'm going to go back. I have to go inside. My dog's fucking causing problems. So apparently what was happening was everyone's sleeping upstairs. Oh. And he was down here barking because he wants to be out back with me.
That bastard.
But I didn't want to let him out back. Because if I let him out back, he's gonna just run off, and like, what's he gonna do? Get in a fight with a fisher or something? Like,
everybody's fighting in your life. This guy's a fight. The dogs are fighting. The fishers are fighting. This guy's a while we're on the fighting topic here, what do the essays mean to you, brother? You tell me about the essays. I heard you were into some type of gang. Heard you
What
jumping.
the fuck?
I've heard.
Where are you finding all this crazy
heard,
info?
I've heard
the essay mob.
You're in the essay mob.
Reddit?
I had a boy that lived over there.
Essay mob rolled
They said
deep.
the essay mob jumped him. He still has he has a tick now on his left eye. They said the essay mob really hurt him. So I just want to know, what brought all that in, and how did the essay mob come about? It's pretty much a fight club, I heard over there that you started. You're like Tyler Durden.
we did jump people in and shit.
Tyler Durden.
We were fucking we wanted to do a drive-by. We've heard about this gang that was in Westbrook, the CV Street gang, and we were like, dude, we should do a fucking drive-by. Like, that would be fucking cool.
Hood.
Yeah. So Maine did go hard.
We didn't do it, obviously.
Wink, wink.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, we thought that shit was cool. Like, hip hop made that shit cool back then. To answer your question about Europe, this guy booked a dope tour for me in Europe, and we were like, okay, wherever we like the best, we're gonna go back to and try to live. And so we just rented a hostel for a little while until we could find an apartment, and then that's what we did. We found an apartment, and then we lived there for a year, and then like went home.
Did you have any scary Europe stories? Like like you always want, they want us to know in America, like, oh, it gets crazy at night. They take you to a rave club. They take your clothes. You wake up no kidney. Is that shit happening over there, or nothing crazy like that?
I mean, I had a pretty scary experience in Serbia. We were driving to a show, and I got caught in a speeding trap. And this cop pulls me out of the car, separates me from my wife, drives me off into the countryside, and then he just starts writing the number 50, problem. And he just kept like saying problem. And then he like brings me back, and then when I get there, there's like this Australian kind of mafia dude talking to my wife, and then who the Serbian police brought in.
Wow.
And so this Australian guy's like, you're not in fucking America anymore, mate. You don't have any fucking rights.
Jeez.
You're gonna go to jail for felony speeding, and you're gonna be stuck in court tomorrow if you don't pay these guys. Whoa. So you need to drive back to the fucking border, get fucking 9,000 Starbucks or whatever the fuck, and pay these guys, 100, whatever, 200 euros, and they'll let you through, and you won't have to go to court. And I'm like, all right, and so I had to bribe these cops. And when I called the B92, like the people who were bringing me out, like the national radio station, they're like, oh yeah, nope, that sounds right, yep, see you when you get here. Like, fuck.
That's fucking scary.
So that was kind of scary. That was pretty scary.
Sounds like a scary story.
Europe
must have been an adventure for you. I mean,
nightmare fuel.
Being able to walk, good and bad time, just experiencing different cultures. I mean, it's amazing that you were able to do all that. I want to know about this relationship that you formed with DJ Pain One. I mean, you guys, again, just released a brand new album, which is a collective of songs that you guys had created within the last 10 years or so, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Which are great album. I mean, from top to bottom. Easy listen as well. But you guys have been making music for a decade now, probably over a decade. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How did you meet DJ Pain One? Excellent producer in his own right. I mean, he's worked with people like Jeezy and Lil Baby and 50 Cent and Ludacris. I mean, top tier mainstream rappers. I mean, he's a Grammy award-winning producer. How did you meet him and form this collaboration group with him?
He just tweeted, "Oh, Selling Live Water is my favorite album, or one of my favorite albums."
That's awesome, dude.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and my friend Mantis went to school with Pain One, and so he knew them. They knew each other. And Mitch pointed it out to me. And at that time, I was really like hyped on that style of production. Like I'm a huge Young Jeezy fan. And when, you know, when I got in touch with Pain One, he just started sending me beats. And they were fucking good beats. And so we made a couple songs together, and it was just so natural. Like he really, he's like Alias, you know, just a workhorse. He just makes fucking great beats. And, yeah. And then so I was just like, we're making an album. I was like, yeah. So we made an album, you know, went on a couple big tours, and, you know, he's a good friend. I love working with him.
I'm not gonna bullshit you on that album. You turn it on for a second to some rap shit, and I'm like, this motherfucker ain't playing around.
Yeah, he's doing it all.
You're doing it all.
But proving that you can rap to any style of beat.
Anything.
I mean,
and
you're
killing
doing
it, man.
everything.
I mean, I swear, I thought you had a kazoo under your chin, a fucking banjo, a fucking the wash table with the spoons.
one-man
band, man.
Two-man
He's doing
band.
it all. Fucking A, that's awesome, man.
I wish.
That album's super dope, though. Much respect.
You
for
haven't
it.
missed a step.
Not at all.
How do you stay so creative and staying on it for so long?
You know, I just always follow my curiosity. You know, I do shit for myself. I don't do shit for other people. I'm very lucky to be supported by, you know, my supporters, and, you know, put out an album, sells, makes money, you know, it's cool. You know, I'm you know, I don't know.
Post-American
you know what I'm doing? I'm like fucking, like, when I listen to my music, I'm like, who the fuck is this for? Like any of it. You know what I mean? I'm like, who would listen to this?
Do you find it?
You know?
Do you find it ironic that, because I love that when I heard that you are a Young Jeezy fan, for instance, or a 50 Cent, or you listen to Jay-Z. When I hear that, it's funny because the music that you make, like for me, as when I was in high school, which is 2002, say, when I'm listening to Bottle of Humans or when Selling Live Water came out, I was in a mind state that this is the only type of hip hop that I'm supposed to listen to, and mainstream rap was
dead.
You know, I can't do that. I've got to stay in this conscious backpack, whatever this realm is. This is the only type of music. But then the people making the music were listening to everything, and we were the ones that were, you know, being held back.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, we were on that shit too. You know what I mean? Like, we were on that fuck the mainstream, you know. That's what I was on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's a whole era of mainstream hip hop, like a whole decade that I just like blocked from my ears. Like after Junior Mafia and like you know what I mean? Like after that stuff, like shit just kind of went downhill. Shit didn't get very good, and then there started to be really innovative mainstream hip hop production. You know, from like Dipset to Kanye to you know, Future, you know what I mean? Like, people are doing really innovative shit in the mainstream, like very experimental, crazy stuff that you wouldn't really, I mean, it's like
great.
Lil Yachty, like the shit like Lil Yachty says in interviews, like it drives people crazy the same way like Anticon talking used to drive people crazy, you know?
Yeah, a lot of these
like
artists
kind of irreverence.
A lot of these artists are very artistic minded and are very creative in their own ways, and you know, a lot of that production comes from those ideas. You and Pain One's album, Post American Studies, another fire album you guys recently put out. I want to say it was 2022, a couple years ago. Super fire. On the track Surrounded, is that your kid at the beginning saying mic check?
Yeah, and originally he was saying, Dad, talk that shit. Nice. And my wife was like, dude, don't. You have to fucking delete that.
Dad, talk that shit's tight.
That's awesome.
That's amazing. So, what does it feel like to be able to include? Now you're a point in your life, a point in your career where you're able to incorporate your family, such as your children or your wife. I mean, you guys made a collaborative album together. How does that feel to be able to do that at this point in your career?
It's funny, I mean, but to be honest, I don't even think my daughter really, knows that I'm a rapper.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does she think
Like
you
my
just
life
you
now
create,
is so removed from that
you
shit.
create vegan meat? Does she think you're a chef, a vegan chef?
he makes
Or-
Yeah, dad is food business.
Yeah.
That's what,
He's a tofu chef.
but I mean, like she's been around music. She loves going into my studio and banging on making music. But she's just like I just don't think she really knows that I'm a rapper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no, like so like she doesn't know I have a Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it? Do you find that like on the average? Do a lot of people know what do you do that like when you go pick up your kids or say you're out and about lately anymore, or do people come up to you and be like, dude, fucking?
There's there's definitely people who are like, I like karate, or you know what I mean, like where it's like you're fucking soul, right? I'm like, yeah.
That's sick.
But no, it doesn't happen a lot. I'll be at Walmart. It's like, you're soul, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm mostly like known as the vegan meat guy now.
Yeah.
That's kind of my cheese maker.
That's amazing. As we wind down here, I do want to get into that. I mean, you're very much into self-sustainable living, creating your own food, growing your own like vegetables and things like that, and making your own vegan meats and selling them. I mean, how did you get into this, and why is this so important, do you think, for people to know and understand how to do?
Well, growing food, I think is just important. Everybody should, in my opinion, know how to grow food, at least to know how to be able to.
Yeah.
Know which weeds you can eat. Like what are the edibles? Like most of the shit around us is edible. Really, you just got to know how to cook it. And so it's good to know those things because tomorrow isn't promised. We very well could be eating the weeds anytime now. So there's that. And it's just a more authentic, unalienated experience. It's also, I don't know, it's also a kind of privileged experience. Like not everybody, like now that I'm working all the time, I don't necessarily have time to be growing food like I used to and like smoking weed and staring at the flowers and shit. It's like pandemic fuck that shit up. Like my business model, everything about my life was like going up at farmers markets. It's not like a thing. But now all of a sudden there's like a reason for vegans to like hit the farmers market and like get like naturally fermented aged cheeses and moldy cheeses and you know what I mean, like salami and like meats you can't even get at Whole Foods. And so it's crazy. I mean, it's fucking kind of blown up. It's shocking. It's shocking to me. And it's like stabilized my income, but I had to do something after the pandemic. Cause I have kids now. I can't like be like bohemian and in debt and not giving a fuck. I'm like too old. Like I'll be fucked if I'm not careful. And so I needed to do some things to set myself up.
From slinging tapes to slinging meat. I mean,
that's what you got to do.
Hell yeah.
Where do you see?
Maybe he could slang meat on tape, but
that's why I like listening to gangster rap, because I just imagine like when Jeezy's talking about cooking, maybe he's talking about making cheese. Like
he is making cheese.
Maybe he's making some seitan in there.
Cooking up.
He's making the cheese off of the stuff he's whooping.
What can we expect from Soul in the next 2 years, and where do you see
next 2 years?
Next 5. Give him 5.
Give him 5. I mean, I don't like looking too far. I'm kind of short sighted.
3
I like to keep to a year or two in front of us. So 2 years. What do you got going on? Is the style evolving as it always evolves? Are you going to continue to do soul shit?
Okay, me and Televangel have an album done.
Hell yeah.
And that's like some Selling Live Water shit, to be honest. It's like really really like emo and personal.
Nice.
And unlike anything I've done really in a very long time, but kind of updated with a more. So that's a project that's done. That's really cool. It's very much like dad's at the end of the world kind of.
That's
album.
fun. I'm done with that.
Yeah, so that's pretty much done. I think I think we might make one more song, but it's done. I'm working on, and then I've just been so like rewiring my creativity to like every time I wake up, I'm like, no, go make more food because it's all gonna sell. Like, just keep doing that. Dig yourself out of this hole, dude. You know what I mean? Like, stabilize your situation. And so now I'm like kind of resetting my creativity because things have stabilized. I paid off a big chunk of my kitchen. I'm not tripping anymore. And so I like started working on nuclear winter stuff to kind of like find a more joyful, fun place to create and like reset my creativity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at right now, is just kind of like having fun, loosening up. I feel like I'm about to make a man's best friend kind of album.
Nice.
Just on the Jeezy subject, I was like, there's this song I've been working on where in my head about like, it's kind of like literally like some young Jeezy shit, like just about like, I got that white, but it's sunflower brie. And so I hit up Payne One. I was like, dude, do you have any any Jeezy type beats from that era or whatever? He's like, man, I have a whole folder of beats I sent Jeezy during that era that he didn't use. Like,
oh shit,
let me send this to you. And so yeah, I'm excited about like what we're working on. So we're gonna do some shit. Yeah. So those are 3 projects.
Dude, that's awesome.
Before you go,
We're really excited about that, by the way. But we're really excited to hear all that.
super excited. Before you go, though, one last thing. I already fucking forgot.
I gotta get
left field.
I gotta get this one. Well,
go ahead, get him.
You're a listener of some mainstream music, and you mentioned this name earlier. I gotta get your take. I mean, what do you think of the whole Drake Kendrick Lamar diss tracks, the back and forth beef? Who won? And how does that compare to your old Dear LP diss track that you put out, which Run the Jewels fans are still upset. To this day, they're still upset that you put that out. They think that was recent, and you still have this hatred.
They're mad because their guy lost.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Kendrick Lamar Drake beef, and how does it compare to your old diss track?
Well, it doesn't compare. I actually, when J. Cole apologized, I was like, I empathized with him in that situation.
Yeah,
I was like, you know what? In my era, you couldn't do that kind of thing. But that shit's started over my perceived, people talking shit, and it resulting in my music not being where I thought it should be. Up at Fat Beats,
Yeah.
but it's it's like, that's nothing. You know what I mean? That's just like a reason to start a beef. I'm going to battle you. You know what I mean? Like I would do that now. You know what I mean? Like if if somebody was like talking some shit I didn't like and I was with my friends, I'd be like, so that's that. It's just like I've met much worse people in my days.
For sure.
And, but that was a brutal, honestly, it just like cast such a negative shadow over my career, like having to deal with the politics of that constantly. It really caused problems. It caused problems for the people around me. Thought it was like some hip hop shit to do. And it was, but it's also like so negative, man. Like that negativity just sucks. But the Drake and Kendrick shit, I was loving it. I was just really into it, like Googling like the beef, like every day, like what does this person have to say? What's going on here? And I just thought it was awesome, and I'd been on a Drake kick the last few months. And so when Drake dropped his track, I was like, I never really liked Kendrick that much. Like, Drake's just fucking slapping everybody. This is great. This is like some Ice Cube, no Vaseline shit. And then Kendrick just fucking destroys him. Just calling him a pedophile and oh man,
killed him. Bringing the receipts with it too. Yeah,
I haven't listened to Drake since.
The receipts to come back with it too.
He didn't have any rebuttal.
Yeah,
He
pure
didn't-
murder,
no,
pure
no
murder.
rebuttal after that. And Oakland is after Drake. Oakland is not a safe place for Drake. So
what they
don't
said?
head over
They're
there.
getting him. They're gonna get
We
him.
know we've kept you a lot longer than anticipated. Soul, we got to know, how did you get the rap name Soul?
Yep.
And then the alter ego, Man's Best Friend. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I just want to say I couldn't believe Drake did that with Tupac.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, for sure.
He's fucking dead,
Yeah,
asshole.
I don't understand.
And you're having him diss someone that's supposed to be, that would have been his friend.
And
Like,
AI
oh, man,
Snoop?
that's
Why
fucked up.
why AI Snoop thrown in there?
You like that AI Snoop?
No, I don't understand it.
I thought when you pulled
That
up, you
was
had
funny.
the AI Snoop on. When you pulled, I thought that was your stuff.
I just don't understand
Well,
it.
yeah, it's like I said, there's one of the songs in Vault 1312. I'm like, I think I'm Neil Young, but I ain't dead yet.
Yeah.
But Neil Young, he's still alive.
still alive.
I got the name
Is he?
Soul because I was after the SA mob got taken out by the feds.
Tell him.
Shit.
Uh,
Real story.
No, I'm totally
Real
kidding.
story.
I'm totally kidding. It was ridiculous. SA mob was ridiculous. I was like in trouble, and so I couldn't write Tim Holland on the walls anymore, and so I started writing Soul, SOLE. That was my tag.
Nice.
Soul. That was it. It was a tag.
Well,
Have you ever looked
I
back?
like the letters.
Have you ever looked back on it? And because I've heard some people say
Acronym their
no,
shit?
no,
Are you
that
gonna
they
hit 'em?
they came with their name at a young age, and what
Yeah.
you obviously did, and then it kind of stuck to them, and they kind of look back like, man, I wish I would have went with something different. Do you ever look back going like, do you ever have names that you
Well, you
think
got Man's
like,
Best
man, I
Friend.
wish I would have been this?
Man's Best Friend.
Well, not just Man's Best
oh yeah,
Friend.
you got
Alter
another.
ego.
You got one in your back pocket, is what we're asking for right now.
I
They
had
call
a
you.
bunch of shitty names. Soul was the best one. And yeah, Man's Best Friend, I wouldn't consider that like a moniker for myself. I think on my the second Man's Best Friend, I used the band name Man's Best Friend just because that's what everybody was doing at the time, but it doesn't, to me, it's just a soul record that I produce, that's kind of a little more self-indulgent.
Yeah.
Before you go, we usually
keep
do.
doing this.
Yeah, let's
I
do
know
it.
that's the last one. Before you
Give it
go,
to
though, we usually do a
we
song
got you.
pick of the week. While we got you, what's a soul song pick of the week that we wouldn't think that you'd be bumping, but you want us to play for you, and we're gonna put it on for you.
I like that.
Just a song I want to hear.
Any
Yeah.
song, any recommendation
Any
you
recommendation.
want
We're,
us to
we're
listen
gonna
to,
play at the end of the
you want
show.
the people to hear.
And they wouldn't think that you would be liking.
Yeah.
We're gonna put that motherfucker
It's
on.
coming
for you.
from your CD player, your tape deck.
what's in the tape deck. Yeah.
You know what song I was listening to the last couple of days is Shotgun Willie by
Shotgun Willie.
Willie Nelson.
Shotgun Willie,
Jeez.
Willie Nelson.
I
okay.
like it.
And then
I like it.
my last thing I want to ask you, can we play Soul without any reprimandation,
Copyrights.
any copyright,
Copyright.
just in case? I mean, it might not be the full song, but a 10-seconder here and there,
Or 30 seconds.
or even 30, even a 30. Is that
yeah, or
is that
5
okay
minutes.
with Soul? Because we stand for everything you stand for, so we just want to make sure that you're okay with that.
I hitherto undersigned, henceforth,
Yes, sir.
justify your use of my music in pursuant to DMCA rules and applications.
Hell yeah.
Confirmation received.
I like that.
As seen on page
appreciate
5, verse 6.
Appreciate that.
Confirmation received. Page 5,
As per
area
as per the
L7.
terms of service.
Oh, he's reading the contract. Okay, hold on.
Perfect.
Dude,
Well,
so you're one of the best artists of all time, one of my favorite, one of the best live performers of all time. Those Bottom of the Hill shows, very special in San Francisco.
Tell 'em.
Dude, one time I just got to mention it. One time you were headlining the show. I think Pedestrian was hosting as a priest or a father, a pastor of some sort, doing that whole gimmick. You were coming up to the stage. It looked like you tripped over the mic cord, but then grabbed the microphone, did a somersault, got on your feet, and just started killing it straight into the song. Do you remember that moment at all? Was that a part of the act? Was that meant to happen?
Did that happen?
It happened, man. It was amazing. I wish I had it on video.
It was Willy Wonka-esque.
It was very, yes,
Wow.
it was very Willy Wonka-esque. I didn't know if it was fake or real. I mean, this man with this long red hair ponytail, this big beard, and Velcro shoes came up on the stage, stumbled, tumbled, grabbed the mic, got on his feet. Man, it looked like a part of the show.
And then you ripped your shirt.
I
You ripped your shirt
pretty
off.
much don't. I can tell you what I ate, but I can't tell you anything about any of my shows. I don't remember any of it.
It was amazing, man. Amazing moment.
Well, we've taken up way too much of your time. Thank you so very much.
You're a good man.
We really appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I was just like sitting down here. I was like watching your show before it was like, all right, I'm gonna get on these guys
In the mind state, in our it's hard to get in our mind state because there's not much up there. We're just we're over here drinking and having a good time and enjoying good music and having a laugh with some friends. So, and we appreciate everything that you've done for the music industry and for our for our growing up and listening to music and conscious music and something that was positive to look up to. We appreciate that from you and everything that you're continuing to do. We're really looking forward to the new music.
Fucking A.
Thanks, man.
You're a bad motherfucker, bro.
You are.
Shout out Stevens Avenue, baby. Let's get it.
The
Have a
baddest
good one- have a
poet.
good one, y'all.
The baddest poet.
Everyone-
Soul, give it up for the one, the only Soul.
Thank you.
I will now retreat to the couch.
Hey, we
Good
appreciate
night,
you. So
and
have
good
a
luck.
Thank you, brother.
good night, bro.
Peace.
Good night.
Forget I'm not out.
No,
Give
no.
it to us.
Come on.
You should play that Mad Child and Tom McDonald song.
Oh, good night.
All right.
Have you heard that? Have you heard that?
I have not
Matt
heard
Child
it.
and Tom McDonald have a track
Yes.
together?
We wrote it down. I
Yes.
wrote it down. It's on the list.
I
We
didn't
wrote
know
it down
that.
for you. That's going to be the one we play for you now.
Aren't they both?
see them together.
Play Shotgun Willie.
Aren't
All
they?
right,
I think
all
it's both because they're both Canadian, so I don't think we need to hear it. But anyways, we're moving on.
Off the list.
Thank you, Soul.
Have
We
a good one,
appreciate
y'all.
you.
Peace
Later,
out.
brother.
Peace out, Soul.
Everyone.
Later.
The legend himself, Soul.
Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for coming.